Hey everyone, today everyone, we'll be doing the Queen's Gambit. Now, we haven't been doing any of those types of gambits. That starts off on with d4, d5. But now, you play c4. Now your opponent will probably capture that the Queen's Gambit accepted. Then they'll simply block and capture back. And they'll have a slightly winning position as they've already developed too many of their pieces. Their pieces have been somewhat developed, and then their opponent will develop the knight, then they'll develop their knight, they'll go out into the center. That would be a mistake, so they won't do that, but instead they'll do this, because they want to do this, but they can't do it until they've moved this knight, so they had to move it. When they got here, they made a quick trade, forcing him to move here, and then his opponent will play a move with the knight, and he'll prepare to go and attack. And while you may be thinking, well, that must suck, he made a mistake. This would be a mistake. Although his plan is right, it's a bit of a weird move, because after he captures, he forks the pieces and traps his opponent. So now he just can't do this. He has to instead go here, allowing him to then do this. Then allowing him to do an even more risky move, protecting. Now, if he attempts to block it, he can always block back. And then if he captures, he thinks he's winning. Well, he thought he was winning, but then moves back. So he can't do that either. He has to then... So instead, he has to decide to go right here. And now, he may lose his pawn. But again, he can't take that pawn because of that attack. So now what he has to do is he has to escape. He's going to play this pawn. And now, this is where the crazy move comes in. Capture, capture. Fork, capture. Now, he has to not do that move. So what he needs to now do, he couldn't play that move. If he goes here, it's checkmate. It could be literally checkmate in quite a few moves. Or, I mean, you can't really checkmate here, but it seems a hell of a lot like checkmate. It seems like you're done if you do that move. Right now, all black is in a completely deadlocked position, where he's completely unable to do a thing. He can't protect himself unless he goes here. Now that he's went here, he no longer has access to attacking that pawn. And he can simply go and defend this, protecting these squares, like this. And, of course, controlling all this file. And controlling this file. And this file. And this. And now he's pretty much stopped his opponent from going anywhere that he needs to go. The squares not controlled at the moment? Well, this is what they are. Unfortunately, as of right now, black can't really do anything because his opponent is completely blocking everything. All the squares controlled are these. And to put this in perspective, this is about most of all the squares on the entirety of the board. And as you can see, black has very few moves here, and the very few moves involve him doing this. But this is where a crazy move comes in. He decides to play this. If he goes here, he is still hanging on. So now you have to kick this knight out. But he will go here. And then he'll lose the knight and he'll be screwed. So he can't do that. But the crazy move is, he just made a mistake by doing that. Because now, he may actually lose. He may be in a bit of a winning position. So white can't do that either. But white But white's plan is good. Because what white can do is what white can do. Because he can play this. Even if that isn't a very smart move. Because then his opponent might take... Then he'll go here. And if he captures... Then he simply captures the queen. Meaning that he'll lose. He has a plan set into motion. Just he's unable to do it because he doesn't have the resources yet to implement his plan. So he can't attack yet. He has to protect. And of course the same with black. Black can't develop that knight here because then he's screwed. And he also, if he goes here, so what? They've developed. And I mean, after a couple of bits of trading, this is a great move, actually, because then that makes him trade, and then he has a bit of more of an open position. Now, black doesn't like to be in this open position. This is not good for black. But white can simply castle, black can simply castle. I mean, he can't anymore, but he was able to a few moves ago. And, of course, move after move after move later, he completely starts to tire out white's opponent, black, and black is unable to do much. As you can see, he's kind of just being tired out at every single move he goes to. By the way, and that was a mistake, by the way. That was a complete mistake. It's road check. Then he goes here, check, check, and of course, finally, he's able to. And now his opponent might just play, sorry, not that. That would be a big hint. Sorry, not that. I mean this. And he'll play this, 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 this. Would mean checkmate. Or would mean instant defeat. Like instant defeat completely. In every form. So now he has to go and become tricky again. And now he plays this move. And that's checkmate. That's checkmate in 2 moves. So he can't do that either. He wants to go here, though. He wants this bishop to go here. And now what he can also do is he can play this. Which would also lead to the same thing. So he has to move this one thing. And again. But he could go here. Okay. Because check. Check. And of course now, plays this move. And if he goes here, and then that's check. Sorry, not that move. I mean this, which would be check. This. And now he traps a lot of things. He traps this. So he traps this, these squares. The bishop's preparing to trap them. And now, if black's only real move is to simply go here. Check. Check. Mate. A is trapped, and that's just if your opponent plays this. This is just one example of it. By trial and error, there will be mistakes. That's what the whole position's about. It doesn't have to be played perfectly. And another variation. If he goes here and he's like, no thanks. It's okay. It's fine. You check. And once he trades back, and then you can attack him back. He has to continue trading. You gain position. And I mean, after that, then you can just, follow that up with some excess moves, with some attacker moves. Maybe develop a little bit. And once you trade, by the way, you now have complete control over the center. White would have complete control over the entirety of the center, meaning black might have to do this. And then white would have to be able to trade off. If white might decide to just trade off, and then black might decide to go here, and white might decide to start to defend it, and then black might decide to play this move. That's okay, because now he plays this. He plays this move. That seems like a bad move for white, by the way. but because he still cannot take this. He has to go here, not there. I'm sorry, that was a misclick. And what he has to do now is he has to go either do this, which means he'll do this, and means he'll still not lose the knight, but instead he can do a differential move like this, forcing his opponent to stay here, and then his opponent has to go here. It just has to. It doesn't work like that. And then after that, white can play a check maneuver. And then after that, can play a threatening maneuver, forcing him to take this piece. And when he plays this, it's the whirlwind maneuver. The whirlwind attacks him. I know it's called the windmill maneuver, but I don't really like that name. It's just not my style. But now, after he captures, white realizes he has to raise the castle, and black goes here. White goes here, and black plays this move, knowing that if he trades, he still has a good It's a threatening chance. White cannot do this. As nice as that would be for white, no, he cannot do this. But instead, he can do this, forcing his opponent to leave the square and gain these two, either this pawn or this pawn. But now, and also defending this pawn at the same time. And in later moves, might be able to checkmate him. So he'll start waltzing his king down here, waltzing, waltzing, waltzing. Because this blocks all these moves and these positions, squares, he has to be careful here. After he, decides to go and dual attack them, black plays check. Check, sucker. Check. Take that, sucker. And now he plays this, and black is forced, and white is forced to capture. And then black allows him a bit, he kind of just eases up. Not really. And now he plays this. But the icing on the cake is that black still has a chance in this position. He still has a way to escape. He may not win, but he can cause a stalemate to occur for him to maybe have a chance of winning. Because it's not black's turn, he can, threaten this bishop, and the bishop has to now go here. But that's yet another mistake. Black will go here. Now, he can't really just take, so he decides to do this. Check. He tries to expel his opponent. Oh, no, not that move. I'm sorry, my apologies. Check. And he could start promoting. But that's when this move comes into play. And then check would be a mistake. So he can't go there. He has to instead go here, forcing his opponent to do this. And now his opponent might decide to try to do this, and this is a humongous mistake. This would be a humongous mistake for black. Because now, black has no other decision but to trade off those rooks. And again, now he has to kick away that bishop. He has to kick away the bishop, and then he ends up losing the pawn. And the bishop sacrifices itself to allow white to queen, and then white loses. And you know how he's gonna lose? 2 queens. And, well, I don't think I really need to give too much commentary about this, as I think we kind of all know what I'm doing here. Now, this is just coming from the position of someone that doesn't really know how to play chess that well. Maybe like a 900 or about that level. And now those 2 queens cause those problems and checkmate it. Now, another position that we can go into D4. My apologies. Let me quickly refresh. And now we have D4, D5. But now, what if he plays, instead of that, he plays the Albin counter gambit. Queens Gambit declined. He says, no, I'm Uno reverse card, buddy. Uno reverse card. No problem. All you have to do, capture. Because now your opponent's ahead. And I think you can already guess how that's gonna go. Already too easy. Sorry, my apologies, not D4. D4, D4, D5. And now if you play this, what about if he plays Martial Defense? Uno reverse card, buddy. And then you trade off. And he trades off again, and now your opponent is actually ahead because he's already developed two pieces. And this is why it's called a gambit, because you never know if your opponent's going to fall for it. That's why you can play C3 and try to build like a tiny pyramid here. If you actually move up the pawn. And now, he's in a bit of trouble, so he has to move his rook in, capture, moves in, prepares, and, well, I think you can already guess how this is going to go. I don't think I need to get too much more into detail of the position. But now, the next one, and one of the final ones I'll be doing, is what if your opponent plays this? Then still the Queen's Gambit, and you can do the same thing. I would 100% not suggest doing this and copying his move, because that's just not going to work for you. If you guys continue to develop knights, it's still the Queen's Gambit. And now your opponent can always continue going into the Queen's Gambit for a lot of moves. And now it can stay either way for a very long time, but I don't really know if you want that, because at the moment, if you trade off, then your opponent does this, then you can quickly get a queen trade. But what if you don't want to do that move? Not a move you want to do. You want to do this. Trade off. Why? Because you are now doing two crazy moves. You are threatening by playing this move. This move. This is a crazy move. This forces your opponent. If your opponent captures, now you have two different moves you're able to do. A, attacking this rook. And B, threatening a fork. A skewer, where you will be skewering the queen and the king. Either way, your opponent is going to lose. And if your opponent plays, for instance, the knight, you now have two, again, different moves. Now you threaten the knight, the queen, and the king, and this queen puts pressure on the knight and the rook. So the knight will decide your fate. And if he plays the bishop, it's pretty much over if he plays a move with the bishop. It may end up being a bit of an uneven trade where you lose. You're 100% up in position right now. Not 100%, but you still have a lot more of a chance of winning than your opponent. Because of this, forcing him now to castle would be him. He can't castle because of that. Because of this problem. So he has to. So what if he instead decides to move this king over? That's fine. Now you attack this. Now you attack this pawn. You attack the pawn. You attack the bishop. Your opponent has to go here, and now you have no choice. Now you have to make your opponent suffer. You can either decide to slide this rook here or slide this rook here, and then you can attack this one or this one. Now your opponent doesn't realize. Black doesn't realize. Here, But now he knows what he's going to do, so now he has to put extra pressure on this pawn. So he has no way of actually knowing. Now he can assume, or naively assume that, I don't know, that he's going to do this move. Instead, go in with this move. Why? I promise you, it's worth every minute of why. If you decide to do this, now your opponent does a free fall. Now, forcing your opponent. Now, white is kind of stopping him from going onto the back rank and checkmating him. And it's ahead in points. I think that's a bit of an in-depth analysis of a lot of different positions. This is more for like 10,000 rated positions on how 10,000s, maybe like 700s will play. And that small range. So, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.